Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to the show. I'm Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies in the building.
Yeah.
This is you and Mariam Blue. Did you guys plan this
okay.
blue
I mean, I'm
thingy?
also wearing a
Well, actually,
touch of blue.
yeah, I'm also having a touch of blue. So you all have a touch of
Yours
blue.
blue. Yours looks
It is blue.
green.
It's a
Turquoise blue.
teal. It's teal
Akashoebi.
green.
Ake color.
How are you doing, Jumoke?
I'm amazing. I was, monitoring the elections in Australia yesterday, so I'm a little. It's now conclusive by INEC. The PDP is
Nation
going
has
to
a
court.
concluding statement.
The PDP goes to court, but what saddened me the most was we going back to the dark days of election violence. The elections were pretty much violence-free on Saturday, so I didn't think that the rerun needed that much, desperation to the extent that we lost lives. There was a young 12-year-old girl who was killed. There was a PDP youth leader who was also killed. I thought it was unnecessary. Right. And it just reminded me of the days of President Jonathan. I criticized him every day. But one thing I will never forget that he said was that his ambition was not worth the blood of any Nigerian. And so he lost gallantly and, congratulated his opponent. I think that's how elections should be worldwide.
Right. Yeah. Even, yesterday I was telling Mariam that I was at the U.S. consulate yesterday having conversations with quite a lot of people. And the conversations really was eye-opening. I met a lot of people and they felt that, listen, yes, the numbers, APC has won, but if you look at the figures, they won by 30-something%. And that in itself does show that there's a lot of division amongst the various parties, because PDP got quite a bit of votes, or the SDP, other parties got quite a bit of votes too. So it's something that APC needs to really look into. It's, yeah, you won, but the figures, the margins are not that fantastic.
But
so
if you really want to serve, no violence at all.
Something worth thinking about. Yeah. How are you doing, Mariam?
Good. It's the weekend.
So tell us about this thingy you got going on.
Okay.
So what's that BD thing?
Okay, so usually Fulani ladies wear it. Like when you have the full Fulani outfit, you have, so that's the jewelry. And this as well.
Nice. May I have one?
I was going to say she should have come to the set for everybody. She should bring
now,
for
because we're on
everybody.
TV, I'm going to, because we're on TV, I'm going to say, oh, I'll give you one.
But you know you're not going to give us one. Okay.
Any plans for the weekend?
With the nose ring, yes. Okay, so there's an arts exhibition. My friend is doing one over the weekend until 1st of October, which is a public holiday. And of course, I'll try and see the play I missed last weekend. So,
right,
that's
cool.
What I have to do this
Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Good to have you back.
I know, it feels good to be here. I'm excited to be here.
So what have you been up to? Anything happening in your life?
I have a 1-year-old, and I must tell you, parenting can be very hard. It looks easy. So a big shout out to my mom and all of the moms out there. You guys are amazing.
Yes.
Because as a 1-year-old, you're like, don't do this. And he's like, mama. And then he does it, and I'm like, babe, he does this. And my husband is like, what did you do? I'm like, I advised him. He's like, oh, can you advise someone 1-year-old? You beat him. But I'm like, babe, I pushed. He's like, you have to keep beating this baby. But you know.
Good to have you, Rihanna.
Your first child?
That's my first baby.
So she's joining us as a co-host today. Good to have you. Any plans for the weekend?
Okay, so we have Nickelodeon Festival Saturday and Sunday.
You have tickets?
I do.
Oh
I got
my
5
God,
tickets
you
myself.
did? I've been looking for
myself,
tickets.
2 of my
get
friends and
tickets.
like 2 of my cousins.
I mean,
I've
this is
been
the second
looking
time
for
I've missed it.
I
It's
know,
so
right?
annoying.
Yes, last year I missed it. This
I
year
didn't know about it last year, but I heard about it this year. I'm so excited.
I've called everybody and their grandfather
telling
for this
you.
ticket. In fact, there's
I'm
one
so
more call I'm
upset.
supposed to make today. You can make that call just in case, because he said he'll see what he can do for me.
Please, anyone that has a free
Please,
ticket,
I need
I'm willing to pay
come
double.
on, man. You want my kids there. I'm like, I can shimmy and shine me in Lagos.
Okay.
My
We have to be
children.
there. Paw Patrol.
We have to.
all of them.
Aside
Slime.
from Nickelodeon, what are you planning for the
Okay.
weekend, Mariah?
Well, this weekend, I'm doing quite a lot of cleaning and all that. But I have to say that I met some amazing people yesterday.
Okay.
I met the wife of the new public affairs in the U.S. consulate. His Michelle Brooks. When I asked her, I said, what do you do? She said domestic engineering. I'm like,
Oh, really?
Oh, wow, what's
So
that?
what's that?
So some people call it housewife, but
Oh, wow.
but it was just fun talking to her. She was such an amazing person, and she's one of the African Americans that believe that lots of people need to know about Africa. The perception is wrong out there. People think, and she was
I mean,
really,
is it
really
still
wow.
wrong out there?
She lived in Abuja for 2 years. Now she's in Lagos, so she's thinking that okay, but hopefully she can get more people to come around to even see how Nigeria is. So it was a pleasure talking to them. It was fun. So let's go on a break now. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. water. All right, we're going to start with Punch very quickly. There's only two stories. We'll go a few stories, Sha. INEC declares APC Oyetola winner of Osun governorship election. PDP rejects poll results, says it's a black day for Nigeria. Election not free, fair, or credible, says CDD. Rerun is a show of shame, says CUPP. And I'll retrieve my mandate at tribunal, says Adeleke. Buhari COS meets Labour leaders. Flooding kills 199, displaces over 170,000, says NEMA. Hoodlums attack party secretariat, shoot policemen in Bayelsa. U.S. bodies predict electoral violence in Lagos, Rivers, Kano, others. And APC and NWC, that's the National Working Committee, disqualifies Shitu over NYSC scandal, postpones primaries. Why are you laughing?
That was a very funny one.
wicked.
How can you come out openly and say you didn't do NYSC and then you still go for governorship primaries, knowing what our law says? It was funny. And then Mama Taraba, after supporting Atiku, what were you thinking?
Still being
Come on, really?
I know the stories. Can somebody tell us what the paper said?
Okay.
What did the story say?
Okay, so Shitu, we all know the story, which is he had come out last, someone had been talking about him not serving. And he said, well, immediately after he finished school, he served as a House of Rep member in Oyo State. So that is in
And that
itself
was service to me.
NYSC. But now his party is telling him, sorry, you're disqualified because you did not serve. Then Mama Taraba, we know that she's a loyal follower of former Vice President Atiku.
She was
and she has
also
criticized
governorship candidate for
Yeah,
Taraba State,
Taraba
and she
State.
nearly won. She lost at the rerun.
No, I thought she was even there for 3 weeks or something.
No. She lost at the
lost at the
rerun.
rerun, right.
It was inconclusive,
Right,
but she eventually lost and then
Yeah.
became our Minister of Women Affairs.
Yeah.
And has openly supported Vice President Atiku.
Yes.
Still wants to
and
go
openly
run.
criticized this government as well. And so she's running, she tried to run again under APC,
ticket.
of course.
Come on.
I mean, that's just...
Who were you
Let's,
thinking? Come on.
let's move on to
I
the
wanted to
nation.
take the flooding. Is
Yes.
it none of other
Never.
papers?
No, that's the only
Yes.
paper.
Yes.
we should
So
take that.
NEMA there's been flooding going on in 12 states. NEMA says over 176,000 people have been displaced, over 199 killed.
Deaths.
The presidency has released funds. The vice president has gone visiting Kogi, and they're
So
just
many
saying,
other states.
yeah. Hopefully we're able to prevent this because it's annual.
Yeah.
Prevent
Yeah.
this from happening
And
next year.
especially,
move on
you want
to
to,
the
before we move
nation.
on, just that we always talk about this where we say, oh, this natural disasters do not happen to us, but they do happen to us, and the numbers are quite great. Yes, and alarming. We need to be
Okay,
able to do
let's move
something
on to
since we
the
know
nation.
it
Osun
happens
Oyetola
every year.
wins. Oyetola, having satisfied the requirements of the law, having scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner, and he is returned elected, as according to the nation. ABC bars C2 over NYSC certificate. We talked about that already. Strike goes on as Labour leaders consult, and 19 companies bid for AFAM Yola discourse. Why come strike didn't happen in Lagos? I mean, I heard it happened in
No, it did,
Osun.
When I got home yesterday, I was told that some kids don't go to school. Some said some banks
All
didn't
kids are in
come.
school. Oh.
NLC
Yeah, some people-
actually came to even picket a company close by my
Really?
office off Towing Street
Lots
in
of,
Ikeja.
there were the people out
That was
there.
a little surprising.
Everybody.
Like,
But I heard that Ogun State or some of those states actually complied.
Yeah, I heard
But in
that.
Lagos, there was just pretty partial
Very
compliance.
few.
Being
Just very
airport
few
was totally
places.
shut down. But some people were unable to get married yesterday.
Oh,
because
oh my God.
Very
It's a sign
true.
from heaven. Oh,
Yeah, I was
the
going
Kogi registry wasn't open.
All right. But you went to work. Or you
Yeah,
guys?
I went to work
yes.
yesterday.
so-
My sister were sent back. They went to work and then they were asked
That's
to
sent
leave.
back.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I guess Labour people actually do comply with Labour. I was thinking that people will not
We're
send them.
supposed to, but
People don't send them.
People have
don't
lost
send it
trust.
like
That's
that.
it. We
Yeah.
just don't think.
Subsidy.
Moving on now to Daily Sun's Osun governorship election. Oyetola coast home to victory. Adeleke PDP candidate goes to court
do you
as
say
violence,
coast?
intimidation, trail rerun polls. Imo Guba, Ihilda, Anya will team up in PDP. 2019, APC disqualifies 2 Buhari ministers, Shitu Al-Hassan and 5 others. Kalu, jubilation in Abia, Kano, Lagos, as court adjourns case indefinitely. And FG invites NLC as strike continues. So I think our president has invited, his chief of staff and a whole bunch. I think Abba Kyari actually has one and invited quite a bit of the labor union people to find out what exactly is going on. So I read, I think it was somewhere, yes, I read somewhere in one of the stories that he calls the meeting COS.
I don't even understand that.
Yes, Wari COS meets labor leaders. So that was him.
Because Ngige, who is the Minister of Labor, already said we meet on
he
Thursday.
represents the federal government. He wants to know because now part of the economy is being crippled because of this strike.
Who does
it was
Ngige
important
represent
that-
then?
So moving on now. Were you going to say something?
No, I had the meeting ended in a deadlock yesterday.
Yes, that's eventually he ended on the deadlock. That's why the strike is continuing. Moving on now to Vanguard Osun rerun. Oyetola tops Adeleke. Let's see. Strike will affect payments of salaries to federal government. Covenant University of Ibadan, UNN ranked among world's best varsities.
That's good.
2019, Guba APC denied Shitu, Mama Taraba, and 6 others clearance. And Lagos APC primaries, Ambody flexes muscles. I'm not sure what that means by flexing muscles. What the article was just saying was that he's going ahead
With the primaries. By Sunday, we know.
According to, and they tried to get some telecoms company to send out SMSs just to try to gauge his popularity, to know. That's what the paper said. To gauge his popularity.
I'm reacting to the
I mean, it looks
story.
usually when the governor is running for second term, it kind of looks like chances are you're going to win because you've been there for years. But for some reason, it looks like Ambode is struggling. Like he wants people to see that, guys, I'm still here. Like, don't take the new guy. I'm here. You guys don't forget me. Vote for me. You know?
Yeah, very unmistakable.
On Saturday, people would prove who.
So today's Friday, I'll be
I
tomorrow.
want to take our feel-good story now. That's
Okay, the
University of Ibadan and the
Covenant.
University of Nigeria, Nsukka, are on the world's top universities. Well, they are in the range of 1,000.
No. Covenant
Covenant
University is between 601 and 800. Nsukka is between the 1,000.
And
so
UI too.
so-
Last year was only UI that was there. Now we have at least two. One federal, one private.
two federal,
Two federal, one
Nsukka
private.
and
three.
There
Unibadan.
are actually
Yes, sir.
there are two surveys. There's one in Africa and then the other one in the world. The one in Africa is the one about Covenant University. The one in the world is Nsukka and UI.
So the
I have
world
a
does
story.
not recognize that Covenant is part of the.
I don't understand for them.
Telegraph, banks, schools, government offices, courts, National Assembly shut for the labor strike. Vote buying violence mar Osun rerun poll. Federal government puts off 52 NNPC's hospitals for commercial use. Ambody regains confidence, recruits 1,960 agents. 8 banks earn 1.3 trillion in interest income. So NNPC hospitals, you have that story?
So there are 52 NNPC hospitals that have now been put out for commercial use. According to them, this is to stem the medical tourism that has befallen us, you know. So they're trying to open up these hospitals to everyone, not just NNPC workers, but to also their retirees, dependents, and
really?
everyone, every Nigerian.
That's really nice.
So that's really good. These hospitals are have state-of-the-art equipment and everything, so will go a long way. And then, so it's in 3 stages, and they're also hoping to build more hospitals in areas like Kaduna, Port Harcourt, you know, all around the country.
I feel like we've
State of
already
the art.
spoken about Osun. Do we want to say what the paper said?
Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah.
So the Osun elections were concluded yesterday. The APC candidate Oyetola was declared governor. The margin between the APC and the PDP candidates was about 800 when all the figures were
Looks like
put
500,000. 500, because APC is 255,505 and PDP is 255,023. So it's like
800.
about 5. Okay. I did the math in front of me. Because it looks like 500 to
Both
me,
of
but
them
go
are
ahead.
255.
Yeah.
But anyways, the PDP candidate says he's going to court because there were a lot of videos put out where people who said they were going to vote for PDP were turned back. They said that there was a way they identified the people who were going to vote for APC. They had on white handkerchiefs on their hands.
Wow.
They said there was a lot of thuggery. And policemen were just, you know, standing by and watching like you're on your own.
And prove the case.
And prove their case.
That's the beauty of our system.
Democracy.
Of
So
Governor
we'll see.
Aregbesola, Governor Oshiomhole, Governor Fayemi in his first term all won their governorship elections in court.
Yeah,
So
you never know. All right, that's all we can take on the front pages. When we come back, we continue our discussion yesterday on parenting because we got lots of feedback yesterday. Lots of people learned a lot, and we felt, you know what? Let's continue. Let's have the part 2 and conclude this conversation. And we're still bringing back praise for where. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So yesterday on the show, we discussed the issue of co-parenting and the increase of baby mamas and absentee fathers. So today we're going to continue this conversation, but our focus is going to be slightly different because we need to talk on how it affects the children and also why the children are always being used sometimes as baits to get revenue. Joining us on the show again is a family life expert, author, Out of the Box Parenting, Mr. Praise Fulwell. Welcome to the show again.
Nice. Praise you, Harry, back.
Thank you very much for yesterday, and we got so many calls, so we just had to bring you back again. You can call us on 070-806-6814. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, while rounded up yesterday, I had said something that there was an angle of the women in these relationships feel like they deserve to be back with the man. They want that relationship. And when the man says, I've moved on, I'm done. And then use the child as some kind of a source of getting revenue from the man or trying to get back to the man. So the man is
getting his attention.
So getting his attention. So he's pulling up a fight, not because he doesn't want to be part of the child's life, but he's putting up a fight because he doesn't want to be part of your life anymore. So how do we get women to the point where they're able to celebrate their personal emotional needs from the emotional needs of their children? In this kind of situations.
Okay, so you realize that a lot of people get into relationships don't even exist, which means their identity is missing. So you see that people are running into relationship to make up for something that is missing within them.
Right.
Right. So when that guy now exits, it looks like a part of me is gone. So you want to hold on to that because you are afraid, you don't know how to move on, right? So they will do everything and anything, to ensure that they retain the man. But what I always say to young people and young girls is, getting into a relationship without marriage is like a voluntary organization. It's like an NGO. The rule is free entry, free exit. Right? You need to know that from the world go to say you don't have any hold on him.
Sure.
Right? There is no document to back up the fact that he's contracted marriage with you or whatever. You need to understand that. So what you want to do with people is to take them to a level where they now begin to look for what is missing within them. Many of us have not learned how to fall in love with ourselves. So I have met lots of ladies who I ask, how do you know a guy that truly loves you? They tell you if he loves me, he will take care of me, he will be there for me, he will listen to
me.
Any fool that wants to sleep with you will do all those things. Right? Because you don't even know what you're looking for. So whatever looks like it, you embrace it.
Right.
So we need to begin to teach people to hone themselves, be happy with themselves, and to understand that happiness doesn't exist outside of you. It exists within you.
Yeah, I had to learn that. You said something which is profound. That is marriage. If you do not have that contract, there's nothing holding on. But we have marriages now that sometimes the papers, the contract doesn't seem to matter. You have people who have been married, they have children, and then the father is not there. So what do? You did all the right things. You fell in love with each other. You went to the court or wherever, and you signed the contract that you'll be there for each other and for the children. And then this person builds on you.
What happens?
What do you do then?
So premarital is wrong in there. I'm very, very particular about premarital. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know there are assessments that can reveal who you want to get married to without him even knowing, right? It's a set of psychometry analysis that reveals who this person is. So a lot of people are getting married to people who they're not even compatible with, but they don't know. Because people elevate romance at the expense of other things that really matter, right? And that was why I made a point yesterday that it can be a good man and a bad husband.
Yeah,
it can be a bad husband and a good father, right? So you need to understand that, hey, this person I'm getting married to, does he have the skill set to be a proper husband? Does he have the skill set to be a proper father? The same thing for the women. So you are seeing a lot of, I was talking to Mariah, a new generation of women who don't want marriage, they want a child.
Exactly.
So some of them get into marriage, and by the time the child is born, they're already on their way out.
Where do they teach these skill sets now? Weren't we raised by our own dysfunctional parents?
Well, you see, the thing is, the world has changed over time. It's no
Okay.
longer what it used to be.
Okay.
When you were growing up, there were other people within the community. We're all community children.
Yes.
You know, we're raised, so there were people who correct you. I mean, I remember when I would have gone into gambling, I got into casino and a man looked at me, I didn't even know him, and he asked me a question. Are you not Fowowe's son? Your father doesn't do this kind of thing. Get out of here. Right, that was community parenting.
yeah.
Right now, if you're naked from head to toe, nobody cares.
Okay, I
Right,
don't even want us to get
so
into
your
the issue of
business.
marriage because I really want, because we talk about marriage a lot of times, I really want us to focus on those people who are single mothers,
Yes.
who were trying to have a relationship and something happens, they have a child, and nobody's worrying about this child. So I want us to bring the conversation again back to the children. Now, you're a child, you're a teenager, early, maybe 10 years or 11 years, and you want to know your father. And you just know that your mom just has this negative utterances about your father
him.
all the time, and you desire that need. But the mother feels that she's your father and your mother. She's giving you everything your father will do for you. So, my question to you, Praise, that can we, as women, compensate for the role of a father in a child? Does the child need that father figure? Can we do it by ourselves?
Well, you see, it's a two-way thing. Where the man is absent and is not willing,
Right.
you need to stand.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is a generation, I mean, so we've seen some celebs who have this kind of issues, dressed like a man to the child's school and what have you, you know.
The table is broken.
And you
And
wonder
he's
what is
doing
happening.
shit.
What you're doing is you're doing to destroy the psyche of the child.
Yeah.
Very true.
Right? Now, like I said yesterday, fatherhood is a role. There are skill sets required, right? In the absence of an absentee father, you may want to stand in and get a support system that can stand in for you. But where you want to occupy that position out of bitterness, right? Hurting people will hurt other people. You're going to hurt your child because you're going to pass bitterness to that child. And you are also assuming that you know what it takes to parent. Like I said yesterday, proximity is not parenting. Ability to have, that you have money to lavish on the child is not parenting. And that's why you see a lot of them eventually break
And
down.
that's like my personal story.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lost my dad a long time ago, but we did not, his death meant we didn't have any relationship with my father's people. That's what they wanted. And my mom, while we were growing up, never said anything negative about my dad. I thought for many years that he was a saint. Of course, as I grew older and asked many more questions, I realized that he had his own issues. So I think that maybe one of the things we should do is that you have decided to be this person's parent, whether you willingly wanted to or just circumstances that made you. It's very important that that father figure, just leave it for the child to come and find out.
Yeah.
Do not color who the man is or who
No,
the
you
person.
can't be the man in the life of
Yes,
the-
you cannot do that.
yeah.
My mom did so much for me,
Yeah.
but she could not be the father.
No, because, I
There
mean,
was so many times during my life,
Yeah.
I just wanted the father. I have a stepdad.
Yeah.
He tried, but there's that thing about blood, which is, what would my father have done
Well,
for
no,
me?
not really. I don't think the blood thing comes into place. Again, it comes to seed handler. Right, there are people who have emotional attachment to a child that they didn't give birth to. I mean, we had a case yesterday on the show where the stepfather was actually the father, where the father was the one molesting the daughter. Right, so it comes back to, healing and wholeness. Right? Once you attain that, it will no longer matter because you don't want to saddle a child. You see, there are some parents, we call them the mother. What they do is everything happening in the life of the child, or if they're spending money on school fees, they begin to tell the child, it's because of you, I don't have a life. It's because of you. The child doesn't need that information. It did not beg to come to this world. When things happen, can we take responsibilities for it and just move on?
Speaking of responsibilities, I think in so many relationships, especially for people that are not married, I think people go into relationships these days without defining what they are. So myself and you were in a relationship, and for some reason I get pregnant. I'm the type of guy that, peradventure, you get pregnant before we get married, I'm going to be involved, or you're I don't even know what Bayo is going to say, and then I'm scared. So chances that I have the baby, or I don't tell him, or he doesn't call or something, and then there's this resentment towards the guy and the baby. So whenever the baby needs something, you're just so angry. Your father left me. But the thing is, you didn't define your relationship. So the guy, in a way, looks like the bad guy. But sometimes we women, we just want to be with a person. And I think it still boils down to self-love. You need to love
You
yourself.
know that when you are attached to something, you exaggerate it, right? Because you're seeing from your side alone. You're not looking at the helicopter view of events, right? You're saying, okay, the guy left me, but you're not getting into the guy's heart to know what is going through his mind. And I think people need to begin to define their relationship. What are we doing together? If you guys begin to have sex, you're going to have a baby. Right, you need to understand that and begin to
protect
discover
yourself
it's
from having
not-
a baby.
Yeah. Break some football and praise. But what I would like where to take this conversation to is, I want you to help people out there
Who are already
who are already in it. They're single mothers or single fathers. Now, there's nobody there, and the man is asking to participate.
Yeah.
But I need you to help that woman separate her emotions. And okay, yes, the courts are not yet involved, but what do I do to make sure this child has a father figure? Yes, you and I are not together, but let's put a structure in place such that he is part of the child's life. Somebody needs that information.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll discuss it. Stay with us, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So from yesterday's conversation, we know that a single mother can actually have role models for her child, get father figures in different. You don't have to have the man if he's a deadbeat dad, fine.
Yeah.
But in a situation whereby the man wants to get involved, and you're finding difficulty in helping in making him part of the life of the child without getting emotionally attached, what advice would you give that woman to ensure this child is part of her father's life?
Okay, so you need to understand that there are two things involved here.
Okay.
Your relationship with the father of the child as a lover is different from your relationship as a mother to the child and him as a father to the child. Totally different. You need to separate it, right? Now, when it comes to parenting, it's about the child. When it comes to love, it's about the two of you. Now, love can become strained. What you hold the child must not become strained because it's going to affect the child. Now, so you need to come together, and that's why I would think you need a mediator, someone who can call the two of you to order, and now say, do you understand what parenting means? Who is this child? How do we get the best out of the child? Because
Wait, do I have a legal right to a mediator if I was never married to the guy?
if you're boyfriend and girlfriend and a child is involved, you can actually sue. Right now, yes.
Where?
You can sue.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria, yes. Everyone listening right now, you can actually sue.
We have a law like that?
Yes. You can actually sue.
The guy.
Yeah. Yes, you can sue the guy. You because what people believe before now is that until you get married and you have the certificate, that's when you have responsibility. No, where a child is involved and it's been established that is the father of the child, you can actually sue for him to take responsibilities.
Let me take this call from Adesua. Adesua, thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Nice one.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, first, I'm a first-time caller. I mean,
Welcome to the
ever. When I
show.
say first-time caller, I mean ever. And then I need to make a correction, please. It took me for like ever to get through in the sense that when you call the numbers, like some of us, we don't really call, you know? So we don't have your numbers.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't have your phone number.
Okay.
You know, so you were very fast in calling the numbers. I couldn't pick it up. I had to go online. So you need to put the numbers on from time to time on the screen.
Okay.
So people that want to like get the numbers that
Thank
don't
you.
know.
Thank you,
Don't like do
Adesua.
that.
Our producer
That's
is
one.
listening.
And thank you very much. I personally decided to call because I'm personally involved in such an act. You know what's going on now. I'm a mother. I was a wife, so to speak. I'm separated now about getting a divorce. Now, the major problem about parenting and children, like you just said earlier on, one thing people need to know is we don't define ourselves. We don't know who we are. You know, like you said earlier on about people having relationships. They don't really know what they are doing with relationships. Even in marriage, you know, you're married to somebody that you're completely different. You are two different people. You don't have the same values. Don't share the same values. And so for some reason, you know, you separate. Now, my point really, let me get straight to what's on ground about the children. Now, who you are, we need to address who we are. That is the first thing. If you are filled with hatred, you will always teach your children hatred. If you are filled with love, that's what you tell your children about love. Now, I need to, because the woman talked about it yesterday, she said that when she's training her child, finished training her child, the child look at her in the eye and now say she wants to run for the father.
Yes.
That is so wrong. So wrong. Even me in marriage, in 30 years of marriage, I took care of my child. I was doing everything for my child, so it's not a big deal to me.
All right.
Now I'm out of marriage.
Yeah.
For personal, I decided that, I'm fully myself in that marriage.
Thank you very much, Adesua, for your
Can you help Adesua though? She was the parent anyway, even inside the marriage.
Yeah.
And now she's a single mom. How do we help people like that? They did all the right things.
Well,
Maybe the man changed.
again, you need to understand that, if he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. And that's why we always say that you need to understand the world you're coming from. And oftentimes, it's not even the two people involved who are fighting themselves. It's the condition that socialized them, the home they came out from. So when you have a first world man get married to a third world woman, or a first world woman get married to a third world man, right, it's going to be a challenge because they're from two different worlds. They're going to see two things differently. Now, the parenting style is going to be affected because this person will say, oh, this is what I want to do. This person will say, this is what I want to do. And that's why everything must be done in the best interest of the child. Coming back to what Morayo had asked, we need to get to the point where these two people understand that it's about a child right now, and what role are you going to play? What role are we going to play? Can we now create a script? We teach what we call script writing for a child. To say this is the script that we need to run on this child to produce him. Right? Yes, because, people talk about mentoring. They don't know that the concept of mentoring is actually the name of a person. It was Odysseus. Odysseus was going to war, and he wasn't sure he was going to come back, right? And he had a script for his son, who he wanted his son to be. So he handed his son over to Mr. Mentor to say, this is the script, right? And he went for several years, like 25 years. By the time he came back, Mr. Mentor had turned that boy into exactly what the boy needed to be. Right? So that's why we say parenting is a responsibility that someone has undertaken to grow a child into who he should be.
Okay. So we are co-parenting now.
Yes.
We are not married. We're never married.
Yes.
And my view of the world is third world view.
Yes.
So me, I want to be beating the child.
Yes.
So he pours water on the floor. I beat him so that he knows he's wrong. He doesn't do it again. Then the child now goes, he spends 1 week with me, then goes to you. And your own view of the world is first world view.
Yeah.
You believe in talking to children without beating them.
Yes.
So the things that I have done, you undo.
Yeah.
And then we now send the child back.
And there's confusion.
Now, so in that case,
solve our problem.
the interesting thing is we live in Lagos State. There are agencies. Lagos State government have sent a lot of people in that situation to my office, for example, right, where it's assumed that the child is not actually your child. The child belongs to the government, right? So if you're a bad parent, actually your child can be withdrawn from you.
Well, who is a bad parent?
Right, which means that you are becoming responsible. Like in the case where the child's sanity is being threatened by the two of you, it can be withdrawn because it will now be established that the two of you lack the capacity to actually raise a child.
So both of you must agree on a system.
Yes.
To train
so
this
you
child.
need to agree, right? To now say this is what, and that's why the agency in charge of domestic violence, we work in partnership with them. They will send you to my office. Then we now sit with you to now say, you guys don't even have the skill to raise a child. So we now begin to teach you afresh on what it takes to parent, what is expected of you, and who a child is. Because if you don't know who a child is, you're going to damage the child.
Go ahead,
I
Hermes.
want to say something. Speaking of role of parent in children's lives. Okay, so like I'm from a polygamous family, so I didn't used to see my dad as often as I wanted. So I know my dad paid my fees, but let me use the word by default. But you go to school, you see other people's parents, and you kind of wonder, oh, I wish my mom and dad would visit. And it was, I would think about it and just be like, okay, like it was painful. And it just made me believe that, you know what, there's actually more to parent. I always saw my mom, but then there is more to parenting. Now, they are married, but of course, it's polygamy. But there's more to parenting than just paying fees.
Yes.
So you can actually be married to somebody, and all you do is just pay fees, watch football,
That's a sponsor.
and have sex with your wife.
That's not parent, that's the sponsor.
Are you still hurt?
It pains. You know why it hurts? Then when I grew up, I think of some things and it's painful. When I grew up, I went to live with a friend because our house was closer to my office. It was her mom, her dad, and all of their siblings. Every day, this man comes home from work, and I'm just like, I'm like, Daddy Arasa, I'm looking at him with so much. So I stand in the kitchen, I'm like, God, like, oh man, do me. Like, I think about it, and I'm like, if only I didn't live with this lady. It hurts the more.
Well, she say what she needs to understand is, when we look at what has happened, we must focus on what did not happen. Right, which is what baby mamas and baby fathers don't pay attention to. Relationship was strained, but there were things that did not happen. Right, what did not happen is the fact that you still went to school. Right, what did not happen was the fact that you didn't die. right?
Okay.
You're still alive. You still have the power, you know, to reinterpret some of the things. So it's interpretation. I said it yesterday. It's not what happens that actually gets to us. It's our interpretation of what happens.
I was going to break because
We are all meaning-making machine, right? And your interpretation is yours.
Yes,
so you can interpret it to
I
serve.
have an example of that because I have to go on a break. But I come from a polygamous family too. But my interpretation of it was that this is exactly what I don't want.
Yes.
So I went out looking for a man that had a mommy, daddy, children, family. I didn't want polygamy, anything. And I got exactly that. And that's the mentality my husband has. And I was very deliberate. And I went. So I didn't enter the polygamous matter. But let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll bring this conversation home. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
All right, so we have to conclude this, but I wanted you to also address the men. I mean, last week we had about the Wizkid, the Two-Face, the whole, all the examples are there. What can these men do, regardless of what the woman's emotional issues are, to, I don't want to use the word forcefully, but to try to show that, listen, I want to be part of this child's life and be responsible. What can our men, talk to our men?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is to do the part of peace. Parts of peace in the sense that, yes, the woman is hurting, the child is not the one hurting, right? It was the woman's heart that you got broken, it's not the child's, and so you have equal rights to the child. So you need to find someone that the lady listens to who is reasonable, because what I've realized is that when things happen, families take position, you know, for the girl, the family, you know, it becomes a family issue, right? So you need to throw the part of wisdom. I mean, she goes to a church, she goes to a mosque, she's just someone who can talk sense into two of you to understand that we need to separate your love from parenting, right? And you now need to come together and say, how best do we raise this child? So what exactly does it take? And you can actually script this, right? And where every peaceful effort has been exhausted, then you need to understand that you have the legal, you know, you have to go to the
Let me take some from Abuja, then I'll take some tweets. Good morning, thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Go ahead, please, Taiwo.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show,
Welcome to
Taiwo.
the show.
Thank you. Okay, this is a very interesting topic. And myself, I'm in a situation like this.
Hey.
Some time ago, there's a lady that I was involved with, a wonderful relationship, and that relationship produced a child, a boy actually. And one way or the other, we couldn't end up together. And for one reason or the other, the boy lives with me. I'm married now. And there's been a lot of challenge between myself and the mother of the boy. But good enough, you know, recently first and foremost, let me talk about where there's someone that raised a point about the emotional attachment. We have to be truthful to ourselves. When you are in a relationship and that produces a child or children, there's no way the emotional attachment will not be there for the father or the mother.
True.
That's in my own opinion.
Okay.
And then you look at your child, you see the mother or you see the father one way or the other. The bitterness side can be there based on whatever must have happened between the two of you. Okay. But now, coming to raising the child, you know, I believe every mother or father want to do best for their
All right,
children.
so we don't have much time, but let me just quickly hinge on what he said. This is a very complicated matter.
Yes.
Because he's married.
Yeah.
And my own challenge, let it be that I am the one that he had a relationship with. So my child is living in this mother-father house with I'll feel robbed.
Yeah.
I feel like this woman has robbed my family. My husband, my son lives with them. I will be emotionally broken.
Again, interpretation.
Okay, interpretation.
It's your interpretation, right? Things are never, you see, life is never this or that. Life is this and that, right? So it's your interpretation, and your interpretation is subjective. So you are looking at it from your selfish perspective. Well, not selfish, from your perspective, which is valid, but there are other perspectives, right? What do you want at the end of the day? Do you want your child to turn out right? If that's what you want, then you will see it differently, right? Because he has not, prevented you from coming in to see your child. He has not done that. He has not said your child cannot spend. In fact, if you go to court, court will even decide to say, during holiday, you need to split it equal half. Half with the father, half with you. That's how it is. And we have several cases like that.
So, someone like, what's her name? Oh, the lady who, should I be calling their names? She was on the show, actually. Legally married to her husband. They had a son. And then the husband went to go and marry Stella at Damascus. And she was like, how can you take my son away? But eventually she just, okay, you know what? As far as the son is happy where he is, let him go.
It's about getting the right people to help.
In my own case, it was, okay, my father had died, and they were like, okay, give one child to us, and you hold on to one child. And my mom was like, how can they lose their father and then lose each other? Even though it was more difficult for her to take care of us, she decided, okay, I'll keep them both.
They should give the child to who?
Yes, we're two.
Family members.
No, they can't give a child to family members.
Well, we're like, okay, to help out
let's take a few tweets.
Let's take a few
Queen Dola Cream says, this won't be easy, but it's a must for your sanity and your child. However, putting aside differences and handling things maturely when one party or even both decide to move forward is very doable and a good move for your child. Gumsman says, this topic just gets me glued to the screen. We need to have more discussions like this, and Praise for Ore is just on point. Kole Lasisi says, if they both lived together as partner but no marriage, the other person can sue. If he wins, the court will tell the other party to pay patrimony. Okay, for people who were raised with both parents being available physically but were not really parenting, and have grown up with that idea of, oh, this is how my parents, raised me, and so this is how I'm going to raise my child. And we're really not raising children to be responsible children and functional parents themselves in future. How do we correct this in our society?
And that's why you see, I am an advocate for we need to teach parenting on the streets. We need to get people to understand who a child is.
Should it be a curriculum in school?
It has to be.
Okay.
It has to be. Government needs to pay attention to that right now, because a lot of people are going to damage children because they don't even know what parenting is all about. And when you don't even understand that you can have two children and they are not the same, right? Your children are like seeds. One can be cocoa, one can be mango. You can't plant them on the same soil. They can't go to the same school. You can just damage a child if you don't understand what it takes to raise a child.
Yes, we have to round up, unfortunately. We have just a few seconds left. But I think if you don't live with anything, live with this one word that Praise has said several times: interpretation. No matter what situation you're in, you're the single mother, you're the single father, he's in, he's out, or she's not involved. How do you interpret that situation? Do I interpret it such that I want it the best for my child, and this is how I'm going to go about it? So interpret it positively, and if you can only give love if you have love, right?
Exactly.
Hurt people hurt others. So show love.
Get healing for yourself.
And get healing for yourself.
When it comes to your child, be selfless.
Yes. All right, that's all we can say. Thanks again, Praise. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And people can hit you on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram, and I have a new book out on Out of the Box Parenting.
Yes, tell us, Out of the Box Parenting.
Yes.
So you need to give us some for our viewers so that we can give out.
I'll send some for
Send some so that we can give out to our viewers.
Yes.
All right.
So much.
Hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. Have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Amazing.
Bye-bye.